So I say good afternoon to you.
Afternoon.
Helen Keller, so brave and inspiring to us in her deafness and blindness, once wrote a magazine article entitled 3 Days to See. In that article, she outlined what things she would like to see if she were granted just 3 days. It was a powerful, thought-provoking article. On the first day, she said she wanted to see friends. Day 2, she would spend seeing nature. The third day, she would spend in her home city of New York, watching the busy city and the work day of the present. She concluded it with these words: I, who am blind, can give one hint to those who see. Use your eyes as if tomorrow you were stricken blind. As bad as blindness is in the 21st century, however, it was so much worse in the days of Jesus. Today, a blind person at least has the hope of living a useful life with proper training. Some of the most skilled and creative people in our society are blind. But in first century Palestine, blindness meant that you would be subject to abject poverty. You would be reduced to begging for a living. You lived at the mercy and the generosity of others. And unless your particular kind of blindness was self-correcting, there was no hope whatsoever for a cure. The skills that were necessary were still centuries beyond the medical knowledge of the day. Little wonder that one of the signs of the coming of the Messiah was that the blind should receive their sight. When Jesus announced his messiahship, he said, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has sent me to recover sight to the blind." The story this afternoon of the healing of the blind Bartimaeus would suggest to us that there are 3 kinds of blindness. For a few moments this afternoon, let's examine each. First of all, the first kind of blindness is represented by the beggar sitting by the road leading to Jericho. Mark tells us that his name was Bartimaeus. We don't know much about him. We don't know his age, his length of blindness, or what caused his infirmity. We know nothing about his family, his friends, his past life. We know him only because of the impact that Jesus had upon his life. He was blind Bartimaeus. I cannot begin to imagine physical blindness. I do remember years ago visiting a cave near Austin, Texas, the name of which I can't remember now. Once the tour group got inside, the guide turned off the light switch. It was so completely dark that you could almost feel it. I remember looking around in all directions, but my eyes were totally useless. Then he threw the floodlights back on again. I suppose those brief moments of total darkness were the closest I ever came to understanding the horror of blindness. When Christ came down the roadside, Bartimaeus sought his help. He probably had already been to all the available doctors and miracle workers. He found them all unable to help him. Yet, that day, even in his blindness, he saw more clearly than the crowd did. He knew that Jesus could release him from the prison of eternal darkness. That he saw clearly. Day after day, the world passed by Bartimaeus, not really seeing him, not really caring about him. He heard the sound of camels, the shouts of children, the gossip of the women, the business talk of the men, but he saw not a thing. So he simply sat there day after day until one day he cried out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." It was perhaps his echoing cry that Fanny Crosby had in mind when she wrote the words, "Pass me not, O gentle Savior, hear my humble cry. While on others thou art calling, do not pass me by." Jesus said, "Your faith has made you well." What is it that we say when we comprehend something? We say, "Oh, I see. I see." This was the sight that Bartimaeus had. He physically lacked sight, but he still saw further than most. So the first blindness, then, is represented by Bartimaeus. It was a literal blindness. The second kind of blindness in the story relates to the men who followed Jesus, the disciples. When Jesus began his way into Jerusalem, he told the 12 of the dreadful things that would soon befall all of them. It was not the only time he spoke of the coming agony. 3 times Luke records that Jesus tried to warn them. On the first occasion, Luke writes, "But they understood none of these things." On the second occasion, he writes, "But these sayings were hid from them." And on the third occasion, Luke records, "But they did not grasp what he had said." Thus, the disciples suffered from a kind of blindness They were blind as to the nature and person of Jesus. They loved him passionately, but they did not understand him. They were spiritually blind. They had sight, yet they failed to see. They were blind as to the meaning of the events that were happening around them. This blindness affected their behavior. Look what they did. They tried to keep this poor beggar from coming to Jesus. I don't know why. I don't know why they knew, I don't know if they knew why, but they did. They tried to keep young children from seeing him. We expect such actions from the Pharisees and the Sadducees, but these were the disciples, the men who genuinely loved him. It was not until the stone was rolled away on Easter Sunday morning that the disciples were really able to see Jesus. It was then that they, at long last, understood the man and the message. It was then that they became apostles instead of disciples. It was then that they brought people to him and moved mountains for him. It was then that they went out to the street, preached the message of the gospel of Christ, and brought the world to the feet of Christ. But these things only occurred when they could see. Third, the first blindness was that of Bartimaeus. Physically, he could not see. So the second blindness was that of the disciples before the resurrection. Their eyesight was all right, but they could not see what really mattered, the true nature of Christ. Either is a lamentable blindness, yet there is a third kind of blindness that is far worse. It is the blindness of you and me. Bartimaeus lacked eyes. The disciples lacked knowledge. But we have both, and we still fail to see. We don't see the precious gift of life itself. Life can be wonderful. It should be. It can be. But it won't be until we open our eyes. We don't see the blessing of physical health until a severe illness strikes. Then we wonder how it was that we could have gone so long without giving thanks to God for our health. But we do. We don't see our loved ones. That is, until we're on the verge of losing them. Then we wonder why it was that we looked to them for granted, it took them for granted, and why we never did the things that we intended to do. We take life for granted. That is until a diagnosis of terminal cancer comes in. Then days indeed become hours and become precious to us. All of those worries that bogged down our lives now seem so trivial and minor to us. We are blind to the preciousness of life until it is threatened or curbed for us. Some of you are familiar with Thornton Wilder's memorable play, Our Town. I know it is something I will always remember. There is an unforgettable scene in that play which never fails to intrigue me. Emily has died. In heaven, she is given special permission to come back to earth for just a brief time. She has arrived at the graveyard of Grover's Corner, New Jersey, where the story takes place. She will experience her life as before, but this little time with the knowledge of her impending death. Now, the day that she chooses to live over is her 12th birthday. Her mother is preoccupied with preparations for the celebration. Her father returns home from work exhausted. Only Emily is aware of the few precious moments now remaining. She pleads, "Mama, just look at me once as though you really saw me." But her mother pays no attention. Emily can only relive the day. She cannot change anything. She goes to her father and tries to talk to him, but he is busy reading the paper and pays no attention. Finally, she can stand it no longer, and she finally cries out, "I can't go on. It's going so fast. We don't have enough time to look at one another. I didn't realize what was going on. I never noticed it. On earth, you are too wonderful for anyone to realize you." And then she turns to the stage manager, who is a central figure in the play, and says, "Do any human beings ever recognize life while they live it every minute?" We don't see life. We don't see the needs of others. To our lasting shame, we are like the disciples. We are too busy to stop and to care and to be a friend. Somehow you and I have got to start weeding out the junk of our lives and start making room for people. There are too many lonely people in the world. There are too many sick people in the world. There are too many lost souls in the world. And yet, somehow, we don't see it all. We don't really see so good. We don't see the preciousness of life. We don't see the blessings that we have. Saddest of all, We don't see the message of Jesus. Nothing is so important to us in life as that, but we don't see it. And what possible excuse do we have? We can't seem to get it through our heads and our hearts that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. It is He that is in control. He came to make us whole and to perfect His good work within us. And He is sufficient for our every need. He expects from us total love and total commitment. Why can't we see that? For those of us who are blind, there is hope. For Jesus came to heal the blind. It happened to Bartimaeus. It happened to the disciples. It can happen to you. How do we go about it? All that is necessary is that we cry out, as did the blind beggar centuries ago, Lord, that I should receive my sight. Amen. Announcements. You're coming up here. They are. Here's one of the beautiful graphics. Hey, look, there they are. So, pray at DallasULC.com. Pray at DallasULC.com. So you say, what is that? Pray at DallasULC.com. Well, that's what they, exactly what they say. It's an email address. It's very simple. You just go to your little email browser, your little email server, whatever you got there, and you have a prayer request. You have a need. You have something you need us to pray for you for. We pray every day here at Dallas Universal Life Church. And you can remain anonymous, or you can give us your name. You can choose to have us just pray for you during the week like we do every day, or we could add you to our intercessions on Sunday. It's up to you. Just give us an email. Just shoot us one over. Pray at DallasULC.com. Okay. Coming up on November the 1st, which is this coming Thursday, folks. I mean, we're already into November. October's over. Can you believe that? Halloween is Wednesday. Okay. So if you're going to go out and party on Halloween night, don't go too crazy, because when you see you here at 6 o'clock, not in the morning, but in the evening on November the 1st, I'd love to see everybody here. This service, it's for All Saints Day. If you've never been to an All Saints Day service, and especially if you've never been to one that I host, you want to come. Last year, we had some excitement. We actually started the mantle on fire. That was a lot of fun. If they didn't believe me, I was up here doing my sermon, doing the whole thing, and I looked back and I said, the mantle's on fire. And they kind of laughed and chuckled. The mantle was on fire. It's a candlelight service, so this year we'll be a little more careful with... It was fitting. It was, yeah. This year we'll be a little more careful with the candles. It is a candlelight service. It's in remembrance and thanksgiving of those who have passed. Not only the saints, but those who have been affected by the saints. So all of our loved ones who have gone before us, please keep them in your hearts and on your mind, and think about them on that day, and be here to rejoice with them and celebrate their lives. And enjoy this beautiful candlelight service we offer. Okay, and it's 6 o'clock, November the 1st, next Thursday. Okay. Hey, did y'all know we had a podcast? Yeah. Can you believe that? We have a podcast. We've gotten so awesome. We have a podcast. I'll say it again. I'll say it every week. If you haven't taken the time to listen to the podcast, I don't care if you're here. I don't care if you go watch us on YouTube. Go take the time to listen to the podcast. It's not that long. You're going to see it's different. You see the words in a different light. It's your imagination just kind of takes over, and it's a totally different feeling. I mean, it really is. The guys here, they'll tell you that we would listen to last week's sermon ad nauseum during the week, and we do. I listen to it quite a bit, not to be conceited or to be, what's that word I'm looking for? The word about being not conceited, but narcissistic. I'm not being narcissistic by listening to my voice over and over and over. Believe me, I hear my voice enough in my head. I listen to it because I want to catch every way that first I want to watch myself and make any corrections that I make. I'm very critical of myself. But secondly, I want to hear and catch different versions of the same thing. I mean, it's the same words, it's the same speaker making it, but every time I hear it, I catch something new. And sometimes I say the Bible is a kaleidoscope of interpretations, and it really is. And even one person can have many, many different interpretations of one piece of scripture. I think it's amazing. So if you haven't had a chance, just go listen to the podcast. It's kind of cool. I enjoy it, and we've got some really cool radio-like beats on there. Okay. All right. If you want to listen to our podcast, you can listen to us on Anchor, Pocket Casts, Stitcher, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Castbox, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and of course, my favorite and one and only, Spotify. I love Spotify. I don't know why I like it more than the others. I've always listened to Spotify, and I'm kind of hooked on it, and that's where I listen to my music, and so I listen to myself there too. Okay. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, complaints. Well, we got a place for those too. It's feedback@dallasulc.com. Feedback@dallasulc.com. And you'll see, this week we got it right. It's feedback, not feedback. Last week we had a little typo. I take full responsibility for that. More geared toward our podcast listeners and our YouTube watchers, because as I say every Sunday in the post service and the roundtable, I say, what do you like? What do you not like? What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? Those guys out there really can't tell me that. So this is their chance to do that. They can leave some beautiful comments on our YouTube page, or they can go here at feedback@dallasulc.com. What do you like? What do you not like? What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? Even though you're not here in the sanctuary with us, you're not here at church with us on Sundays, you're here with us and you listen to us and you're part of our church. So as being a part of the church, you have a vote. So tell us.
You will be heard because it was a suggestion that we change the feedback to feedback. So we did it. So
we did that. Well, the person here was actually here that made that suggestion. So yeah, you can even make a suggestion right here from the peanut gallery. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get some heat for calling the peanut gallery, aren't I? Yeah. Well, God has a sense of humor too. So feedback@dallasulc.com. Okay. We dedicated our service to a young man who passed away many, many years ago. His name was John Bradford Taylor Jr., known as Brad. Brad and I lived next door to each other from age 2 on, and he and I were like brothers. We were inseparable. I mean, we grew up like brothers. And in July of 1985, he was killed in a car accident, coming back with his father from South Texas on a fishing trip for the holiday weekend. An 18-wheeler ran a yield sign and hit their car, I think about 70 miles an hour. Killed Brad instantly. Very, very seriously injured his father. Brad left behind a younger brother, Kent, and of course his mother and father. Brad would have been 45 years old today. He died at age 11. So a lot of people say, well, why are you dedicating a day? Why are you dedicating your service to this person? Well, first of all, he was my brother. And second of all, 45 is a big one. And I got one coming up too, because we're both about the same age. Like in December, I've got 45 coming up. And I know he'll be there for me. Brad was kind-hearted. He was soft-spoken. He was the most beautiful cotton top hair you've ever seen. And was my best friend. And I miss him still to this day, every day. So today's service is dedicated to the memory of Brad Taylor and to his honor for his 45th birthday today. Today's also, just for any of you who might know, might care enough or not, today would have been the 25th wedding anniversary of my partner and I. Ronnie and I were together 16 years before he passed away. So today would have been marked to 25 years that we would have been together. So another accomplishment that, I mean, it's bittersweet, I wish he was still here. And he is. He is. I hear his voice in my head. I can hear him. All right. 25 years is a long time. I was grateful for the 16 years I had. And like I said, I wish he was here for 25. All right, let's move on. Okay, so what did you like? What did you not like? What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? Talk to me, fellas.
Well, it hit home for me.
Why?
Sure, like with the whole seeing your loved ones and all that kind of thing, and so.
Just explain that to me. What you meant by that?
Well, I didn't do that, and then I lost some people, so.
It happens.
Yeah.
And you didn't lose them. You didn't lose them.
Yeah.
Trust me, they're still here. They're still with you.
You wish that you could have done things differently, and you know you can't,
but you can in the future.
You still wish you could.
You can with those who are still living. Yeah. In other words, do right by those that are still living.
That's a lesson I should have learned with the first one.
You're right. But you know what? You can't go back and change that now, Tim. And she understands that.
Oh, yeah.
And God forgives you. Now you have to forgive yourself. We all have regrets. Yeah. We do. I don't care. Anybody says they don't, they're a liar. We all have regrets. There's a reason for that. It's called learning from them. It's called growing. It's called changing in the future. You can't go back. Yeah. You can go forward. You have to learn to let those things go. Because as with anything else, when you leave it inside and push it down and let it sit down inside you and you keep pushing it down, what does it do? It starts to fester. And when it starts to fester, it turns into pus and nastiness and stink. And it fills your body with that. I guarantee you, it'll kill you.
I think it's just going to take time. I don't know.
How much time do you need?
I don't know. I don't know how to get over that. So.
Over what? Your grandmother?
We don't need to go over it again, no. But
we do need to go over it again. Because you're still bringing it up. So we do need to go over it again. And I'm going to go over it again with you right now. You don't have to say a word. Your grandmother loved you. Your grandmother forgives you. Your grandmother understands that you are human. She understands that you are young still. And hopefully she wants you to learn from the mistakes you made and move on and not make the mistakes again with the ones you have now. Your dad's still around. We talked a little bit about that earlier, you and I privately. You got to do him right. Yeah. And that's the lesson here, I think. Take from the past. Don't make the same mistakes.
Because if he dies, then they'll just have to put me in the coffin right with him.
When he dies, he's going to die. We all die.
But before I'm ready for him to.
Well, when are we ever ready for our parents to die?
I know.
Never. You hold on to them forever. You know, we'll be 105 years old, so holding mama's hand, you know.
Yeah.
Norman Bates kind of things, you know, but I think that'd be weird. Look, death is, it's so hard for us here. It is. It's that unexplained, why does God put us through that, you know?
It's a blessing for them, though.
Oh, that's the whole point.
So,
that's where we have to stop being so selfish and realize that this is their party day. My grandfather's saying was, hip hip hooray, today's my party day.
Yeah.
That it is. That day that they die, they find glory. I mean, oh my. We long for that day. I do. But I don't wish for it to happen now. Yeah. I mean, I wish for it to happen when God's ready for it to happen for me. I don't want to rush it.
Right.
I've got work to do here.
I was going to...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I was just going to mention also that, I mean, that I did enjoy, like, the three different kinds of blindness.
And tell me what they were again.
Well, there's complete physical, you know, blindness. Then there's not really seeing what you have in front of you, whether it be a person or whether it be
spiritual blindness is more what we're talking about there. Okay, so physical and spiritual, and then what's the third one?
The third one was...
Kind of a trick question.
Oh, Lord. I'm blanking on the third one.
The third one was where it's all...
It's both of them.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's,
Kind of a trick question there. The third one was... the eyesight, there's a third kind of blindness that's far worse. It's blindness of you and me. Bartimaeus lacked eyes, the disciples lacked knowledge, but we have both, and we fail to see. Wow. We don't see the precious gift of life itself. We don't.
And unfortunately, that's something I think you don't find out that you've done until you've, you know...
It doesn't have to be that way.
Well, I mean, I think it's...
they tell us from what? From this high. How precious life is.
Yeah. But unfortunately, you can't go through life, you know, every minute. I wish you could, but you can't or it's not really realistic to think that you're going to go through life every minute of every day, savoring and you know, maybe you can, but you know, can you go through life every minute of every day, your full appreciation level and savoring every minute of it and seeing every minute of it? You think you
talk to a cancer survivor?
Well, I think.
Well, unfortunately, does it take something like that to happen?
Sometimes we're all different.
Sometimes it takes something like that to occur. Like I was just talking to somebody the other day about how, for instance, can they forgive somebody who has hurt them in a relationship and try to reconcile? Well, that's the thing about life. In order to understand and to be truly grateful for what you're going through, you have to understand that life as it exists is good and bad. Because one, you can't understand the other.
Absolutely.
And so, if you don't have to necessarily savor, so to speak, but more being mindful of the fact that, okay, I might be going through this or that, and it's terrible. I feel these feelings, but my mind and where I know I'm going and how I'm living my life is not going to be destructive.
It's about faith.
Yeah.
It's about having your faith in God and understanding that God's not going to give you more than you can handle, first of all. And secondly, to understand that if we didn't have death, if we didn't have those horrible feelings of loss and suffering being left here as our loved ones move on, we would never really appreciate the love of life and love that they have for us.
True. That's very true.
Because
we wouldn't be able to live on this planet.
And some people would remain in torment forever, forever. And so, yeah, very true.
that faith is what helps us get through that. That faith that there is more. And you know what? Here's the deal. If there's not, it's not.
Yeah.
It's over.
We
But I know
already-
better.
Yeah.
I know better. You know better. But these people are like, they want to fight about it. They want to argue. Everybody wants to argue their point, you know? Well, there's no such thing. It's just all nature, and you're just energy, and it's just over with. It's just, you're done. It's like an ant dies. You're done. It's over with. Oh, okay. If that's the case, then that's the case. But I know it's not.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's what faith is. And they say that faith is, believing in something without any proof. I have proof. So I guess mine's really not faith. It's just knowing. Because I have proof. You're not going to ask me what it is?
It's everything.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
I can say that and everybody go, yeah, whatever. I've told you about my encounters with those who've gone on. Those things don't happen.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for them to happen. I didn't ask for those people to come back and talk to me.
Yeah. And then the thing about that is, I think I said this before, but like people that have that happen to them, they never come back and say, oh, well, I think something happened, or I'm not quite sure.
No.
They know what happened,
No.
and so what
It's
they
very
say
clear.
Happened, what they say happened is exactly what happened.
Dreams are dreams, and we forget our dreams. We have those things where we forget dreams, and you kind of remember in some face. These kind of things that happen, especially when they come in my sleep.
Yeah.
It's vivid. I mean, it's.
There's no question.
It's done. I mean, it's in my memory is very clear on them.
Yeah. So I mean, you can come back and say that you shook hands with God, and that is exactly
Well,
what happened.
that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We know that. You see the face of God.
But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, what?
Understood.
Yes. Yeah.
Look, here's the deal with me, and I say, this is all lessons. We're here to learn something. We're here to grow, and there's a reason for us learning these lessons, right? Well, for some reason, God gave me that lesson early in life about death. It sounds selfish because it wasn't just about me, obviously. It was about a lot more than just me, and there was a lot of us that had a lesson to learn that day. But to be 11 years old and lose somebody like that, it hardens you, but it made me question a lot of things early on. I think earlier than most people would have, and maybe helped me now to be able to explain it more, and maybe be able to empathize and offer my sympathy and offer my true sympathy and my true understanding to people who are going through it. Even now, later in life, some people. I mean, your mother was really the first person you lost that was real close to you, right? And that was, you're how old? I mean, you were in your 30s, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big difference.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know if that was the reason or not. I like to think that that's, like I say, we're here to learn something. And I like to think that every time, even when those things happen that are tough on us, especially those, I think, that those are learning lessons, and there's a reason for it. I don't know. It's my way of thinking about it, dealing with it. So, 45 years old he would have been today. I can't believe that. He was 11. He was 11 when he died. And I only had one picture that I could find of him anymore. After Mom died, and unfortunately, my stepsister got a lot of her things, so I didn't get all of the pictures.
Are his parents still alive?
I've checked. I check. I do a little check online for them every now and then. They still own the house next to where I grew up. I don't know who lives there now, but they still own it, and then they still have a phone there. So it makes me believe that somebody they know lives there,
Yeah.
and they're leasing it out or whatever. 'Cause they don't live. They live in a condo in North Dallas. They both are still alive. But quite a bit older now. They're
Right.
probably in their 70s now.
Yeah.
Because they were both older than my parents. That they had their children later in life. So
I'm sure you never get over that. I mean, you never really. I mean, I don't know. If
Yeah.
I can't
Losing a
imagine
son.
I can't imagine what it's like for parents. I mean,
Well, I mean, I understand this. First of all, the mother was devastated, and I looked up to her. She was, like my second mother. I looked up to her very much. We were always either eating at her house or eating at my house or doing something or whatever. He didn't get to go to my house very often. He got in trouble over there, so we had a little less supervision. We could do what we wanted to do, and over there it was a little more strict. So, but she was devastated, and the father. Can you imagine? He was there when it happened.
and there's going to be guilt. Why didn't I go?
I'm sure the guilt came. It was a freak accident. What happened was it was construction on the highway. There was a merge in from two highways, and the construction crew had failed to put the yield sign up. And an 18-wheeler came in full blast at 70 miles an hour and hit the side of the car. It was a little hatchback that they were driving, and it hit the side that Brad was on. It killed him instantly. And very much so injured the father. Almost killed him. And that night that it happened, that I didn't know it happened, I was at Aunt Patsy's and Uncle Bart's. I've been working there with their record business. That night, in my sleep, Brad came to me and told me goodbye. I had no idea what it meant. I had no idea. I didn't understand. I couldn't interpret the dream. I was 11.
Yeah.
And then I went and I told them, I went and called my mom and dad because I wanted to stay longer because I was making money. I was making $7 an hour over there, and they paid me during lunch, and they bought me lunch, and it was I was doing real good over there.
Yeah.
And I called home and I said, I want to stay a little longer, and they said, no, you're going to come on home. And I kind of got pissed, a little tantrum, and let me talk to your Aunt Patsy. And then there was a lot of whispering going on.
Yeah.
I knew something was up. I'll never forget it. And I went home and we sat in the living room, which is always, the living room was always somewhere you sat, either you were in trouble, or something, you had done something wrong, or it was Christmas. That was it. And we all sat in the living room, and they told me, and the only thing I remember is Aunt Patsy was wearing a white cashmere sweater. Summer, I guess that's what you wear in the summer. It was kind of cool, but I buried my face in it and just bawled. I'll never forget that. She doesn't really remember it that well. I guess,
Yeah.
But I remember it like it was yesterday.
Of course.
And then the rest was, just dealing with it. Death is, at 11 years old, you don't understand. I couldn't eat. I'd try and eat and I'd vomit. It just the nerves, and the nightmares came after that. My grandmother insisted on taking me to the funeral home
I didn't see that.
to see the body and kneel down
So,
at this
like,
casket.
It was open casket?
It was for the first part of the service. It was. They opened it for anybody who wanted to go up and see him. He was pretty mangled, and not only that, they had to wait. They had to wait a little bit for the funeral because her father was in the hospital for nearly 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it was a little too long, but
I won't, but I want to.
it was sad. It was very sad.
Yeah.
The service was held, and the church was packed. His Boy Scout troop, the whole 9 yards. All the pomp and circumstance. And, I remember how hot it was. It was in the middle of July.
Was your grandmother just trying to help you get closure? Was that what? Do you think that was her mindset?
Grandmother,
or?
that's the Catholic thing to do.
Okay.
You go and you visit the body, and you pray.
Even
you
if
pray
it's-
over it.
Even if it's mangled.
Well, it wasn't mangled like that. And they did their best to
Okay.
put him back together. They a lot of makeup.
Yeah.
A lot of makeup. The bruising was pretty extensive. His mom had chosen something comfortable looking for him to wear. It was some shorts and a nice, just a summer outfit, a kid would wear,
Yeah.
But there was some bruising on his arms, and you could see it in his face. And I don't forget the casket had a sailboat on the top of it in front of it. It was very pretty.
Wow.
But yeah, he was for years, even today, the nightmares were and are.
Yeah.
I don't know what I think about, especially at that young age, is having somebody come and see something like that. I understand getting closure, but
Yeah.
that was.
And it's got to be different for everybody. I mean, I never needed to see my mother or my grandmother. For some reason,
I have.
just never needed to see
I still have trouble with it now, even seeing
Yeah.
current relatives. Like, well, my cousin Kyle passed away several years ago
Yeah.
on my birthday.
Yeah.
I know you were telling me something. And they had the casket open for his ceremony, and I wouldn't walk up with the
Yeah.
family. They were like trying to do, and I was losing it because I didn't want to see him like that.
Right.
I don't want to see him like that.
Right.
I want to remember him the way I remember him, live and breathing and smiling and.
Sure.
I think it's almost more. It's just almost. What we do to the body is just strange to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's. I almost think it's not right. You know,
Would it be being put in the ground at all, or do you think it should be
the
like
way
a
it's done,
natural,
the way
Put
we,
in the ground,
There's a-
keep it rolling.
the way we poke and prod and put all these chemicals in each other just to try and make it look alive for a little bit longer, or try to make it look natural. They're not natural. They're dead.
There's a movement for people wanting to put their loved ones in the ground, just like without any of that. You dig a
Well,
hole and
in most,
put them in.
that's a Muslim way to do it. The Muslims do it that way. They have 24 hours to bury their dead, and that's it.
I want to be cremated, I think. But, so.
Yeah.
I've chosen to do the whole thing. Go in and because I know there are probably people. I don't know if there will or not. But
Well, one day we're going to run out of land.
well, I think before that happens,
The other bodies.
we'll have something else go on. There's a lot of land left.
I know it makes no sense, but I can't imagine just. And I know I'm not going to be there. It's just going to be my shell. But I can't imagine just being the whole.
It's not you.
I know it's not,
You're gone.
I know it makes no sense. at
It's
all,
still
but,
scary.
Yeah.
I know because this is our body. This is what we know right now, right?
Yeah.
And to know that that's gone, and
Brain
you,
can't
But
comprehend it.
Right.
Plus, I figure I would prefer to be on someone's mantle, on a loved one's mantle, like in the thick of things, rather than being
maybe
out
not.
in the field.
Maybe not
I
on
want to
my,
be one with the earth.
maybe not on my mantle.
Drop me off in the ocean.
Anyway,
Ashes can disappear.
yeah, but like you said, I'll be dead, so I won't care.
Okay, so blindness. We've got the eyes. We can comprehend what's going on around us. What the hell's wrong with us?
Denial.
What are we denying?
Our
Why?
fear.
Of?
The unknown.
I think it's sometimes there are things we're not meant to see. I think too, and so but
I agree with that. God, He gave us the brain, the limited brain, for a reason.
yeah,
He doesn't want us to see everything.
right.
Knowledge is what? Power, right?
Yes.
That's what God is. We talked about that, right? That's what we're learning. We're becoming more Christ-like, more God-like, more like Him by learning. But He doesn't want us to learn everything.
Right.
We can't possibly. Our brains would explode.
Yeah.
So, why are we so blind?
Perhaps. I feel like you were talking about earlier, like ego, narcissism.
Thinking about only us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Naturally, our bodies, our human trait is to be selfish. That's what we're born. It's self-survival, right? Because against everything we believe in, to be a man for others and give away everything we have and give away all our talents and our time but you know what? That's the whole point.
You take things for granted too, and
We do take things for granted.
if you're taking something for granted, then you're gonna stop seeing it because you take for granted that it's there. So
I want to say about getting too comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So say somebody's on that journey, and then they.
Well, everybody's on that journey. We're all on it.
Yeah. Well, they're at a point where they understand, but it's like, at what point does one then say, so that they can continue along that way? For instance, you say it's important to give.
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
But if you give all of what you have, all of what you are, then
No. Hold on. Let me explain this to you. You give If you live a life as a man for others,
Yeah.
you're giving your talent, your time, the money that you can. I'm not telling you to give it, take your rent money and go give it to the soup kitchen. You have to maintain yourself. You do. But you don't have to be extravagant. You can drive a Pinto instead of a Rolls Royce, right? You can have some Dockers jeans or whatever. What's cheap jeans? Some cheap Kmart jeans or Walmart jeans instead of Wranglers instead of diesels or the Sevens or whatever they got now.
Yeah.
You don't need all that. The extravagance that we spend on ourselves is ridiculous.
That's not fair because the
Yeah.
Wranglers don't fit skinny little people.
Okay, understood. There's exceptions to every rule, but look, there's no set time and no set rule for each person. There's no guideline here for everybody. Everybody's on their own path. That's the whole point I'm trying to make with you. With everybody's got to understand here. You have got to be able to communicate with God and understand what your path is. I can't tell you what it is. That Catholic priest down the street that says he's an intermediate between you and God can't tell you who it is. You can tell you who it is by talking to God and listening to God. Talking and listening. It's a two-way street. It's a conversation, not a monologue. That's what you've got to understand. That's the most important thing I think I can teach you, is that if you can keep that connection with God and listen to Him, listen. I'm serious. Listen to God. You're done. I mean, you're there. Spread the good news. You're on your way. Spread it out and teach others to do the same thing. That's what being a Christian's about. That's what it's about. He laid the path for you. He's going to tell you what it is. He didn't want to lay it out there just so you could be blind to it. He wants you to be on that path. Listen to Him. That's why I try and do these exercises where you pray. And you take 10 minutes a day. Just 10 minutes. Go and lock yourself in the closet if you have to. Take 5 minutes. Say what you got to say. Get it all out. Pray. And then shut up and listen. It's that simple. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do. Because you're like, he's crazy. Hearing voices in his head. I don't hear anything. It's not hearing it. Not in that sense. It's being all encompassed by it more than that's the only way I can describe it. It's just knowing what he's saying. It's an amazing feeling. It's when I'm able to accept that and accept him into myself and accept the fact that he's speaking to me, it's like the weight comes off my shoulders. It's like he's pulling this and just taking this big huge weight and holding it up for a minute and just giving me a break and letting me breathe. Of course, it comes back down again as soon as I walk out that room. That's life. It's really amazing. I can't. It's every time I think about it and try and explain to you something, it comes a new wave of how it feels comes about me, and it's a little bit different every time. But just the English language can't describe everything. In fact, it can't describe most things. It's very limited. So when I say I can't put it into words, I can't put it into words, so I can't. It's just you've got to do it. You got to do it. God wouldn't make us able to listen if we didn't want us to listen. Does that make sense now?
It absolutely makes sense.
It makes sense. But put it into action is difficult.
Yeah.
Practice. You've got to listen. You've got to open yourself up. You've got to learn to meditate. You've got to learn to let everything go. Clear everything out and shut this up. And let that soul open its ears. Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior.
Amen.
He is. Now, I'm not going to get into all the rhetoric that I've had before, the talk I've had about, God's going to send everybody to hell. It doesn't say that. Come on, give me a break. What I will say is, the way of Jesus Christ, the lessons that Jesus Christ taught us, that's where it's at. Not the fact that he is Lord and Savior, but what he taught us. Think about that. You think God, Jesus Christ, would really want us to be saying, "Oh, you're Lord and Savior," and then forgetting about what he said? No. That's not the point. The point is, look, I'm Lord and Savior. But all these other things I said, a lot more than just that. I said that a couple times. I said a whole bunch more than that. Catch the rest of it.
Right.
Get the lesson. Learn what I'm teaching you. Treat each other this way. Give of yourselves tirelessly. When you give so generously, like I said, you've got to protect your core. But when you are able to give the rest and generously give of yourself and of your talents and of your time and of your money and your abilities, it comes back to you. Not necessarily when you expect it. You may go a day hungry. You may. But you're going to feast the next day. It's abundant.
God gave us bodies that can sustain that. And
That's right. God, Jesus Christ was in the desert for 40 days with no food. We could do that. It's not very comfortable. There's a reason he might want us to do that, but I don't know what it is, but he knows. We can't question God on everything. And he made us very inquisitive people. He made us people that want to question things, want to know. And that's good. But like I said, you can't know everything. And sometimes you just got to go, okay, God, I trust in you. You're right. You made me. You love me, obviously. I mean, you wouldn't have given us this if you didn't. Look around. Look around. Space is scary.
Yeah.
Those other planets out there that we've been able to discover, they're scary. And we have paradise here. Talk about the Garden of Eden. We are the Garden of Eden of our solar system, of our universe, that we are no universe that we know of. We are the Garden of Eden. It's right here. Don't take it for granted. We've got to stop it. All kinds of ways to take it for granted. Let's do another sermon coming on that one. It's serious though. Okay. So this week, make a commitment not to be blind. Make a commitment not to be blind. Know in your heart, and you do, know in your heart that Jesus is your Savior. He was here, sent here to save our souls. Okay? Great. Now, how do you do it? I don't mean the crucifixion. What did he teach us on the way to the cross? That's what you need to be focusing on this week. What did he teach us on the way to the cross? How to live our lives. He laid it all out for us right there. And take 10 minutes every day this week. Every day this week. And pray. 5 minutes speaking at the most. The other 5 minutes listening, learning to listen. You still haven't heard it, have you? You still haven't heard it. Heard him.
I think I have. Yeah.
You would know, Tim. It's not a thing.
Well, okay, so I'm not 100%.
You will be. Practice what I'm telling you to practice. I know it sounds crazy. I know it does.
No, it doesn't.
It is crazy. It is. But so is faith.
Yeah.
5 minutes and 5 minutes. It's 10 minutes out of the day. It's not that big of a deal. Y'all can handle this. If it bothers you, tell me to piss off. Okay. You need to hear God. You need to hear him to know where to go. He's your director. I'm not. I'm just somebody here to kind of help you get back to him. That's all I'm doing. I'm just saying, hey, look, you see this man over here. The principal's waiting for you over here. I'm the hall monitor, right? You're going the wrong way. Go back over here. Or you're going the right way, or whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm not God's. I'm not your I'm not this middleman between you and God. I can't do that. I'm not that Catholic. So, do you have anything else for me today? Can y'all handle that? I know it's a little more this week, and that's pretty big. The first one was big. You know, that way to the cross. That's a lot there. Just try and live it. Try and govern your tongue a little bit when it comes to language that we use. Try that this week. Try and be more compassionate to others. Try and give something that you don't want to give away. I'll do it. I'll do it.
It doesn't have to be a tangible thing either.
It doesn't have to be. It sometimes helps if it is.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Just take a step. It's uncomfortable to you. Because it's not comfortable to give away things we've worked very hard for. Or they've been gifts to us. But when there's somebody else that can need, you could use it, and it's just sitting in a closet or sitting wrapped up somewhere, they could use it more than we could. They could actually make some use out of it. That's what it needs to be. I saw my mother's kitchen table, And Becky's gym was a life of her own. That's where everybody sat around and they played poker, we ate dinners, we talked, we got in trouble, we celebrated. And I kept that table as my desk for a while. And it was there, it was fine, whatever. But it wasn't it wasn't living the life it lived. So I put an ad out, and it was almost like I screamed the buyers.
Yeah.
And the buyers that came and bought it were a family with 7 young children, and they're going to grow up around that table. My mother would have wanted that. I was sitting here in this old, me sitting there just typing on my computer at night,
Or it's
boring.
Somewhere.
Right, no. I sold it. I felt it was hard to let go. I'm very, especially when people die, you grasp onto especially those memories of those things they had, and that's not what it really is, and it's in our head, that's where the memories are, but anyway, it was hard to let go, but I let go, and I'm glad now that I did. I hope that the family appreciated it. I told them the story. I told them, this is what it is. This is my mother's, passed on, this was the life of her home. Please make it yours. Hopefully it'll be an heirloom of somebody. So, I told you I wouldn't keep you too long. I haven't kept longer than I probably should have. Because I'm tired. I know all of you. And we finally got the rain to stop. There's some sunshine out there today. We'll catch a few rays before the end of the day. So, you have anything else? We good?
Good.
We good back there? All right, let's close this out in a prayer. And I would like for you to lead us in prayer, if you don't mind today. Can you handle that? I know you can, because I heard you sing today, and that was more beautiful than any prayer I've ever heard. Okay? Let's do this. Come on, Andy, come join us. Can you handle this? Okay, good.
Dear Heavenly Father, I first want to just thank you for everything that is, was, what is to come. For each and every day, when I forget, I'm reminded quickly just how amazing this life that we lead is. Thank you for putting the people around me that you have when I'm struggling or going through my own turmoil as I try to find my way in life. God, please grant me and others and everyone I meet, family, friends, the strength to work past anything that may be going on in life day to day. Forget the distractions, for I know I have those. Help us find you or seek you through those struggles. Just a little faith. I want to thank you for everything you've given me, for it would have not been so without you. And I'm supremely humbled, knowing my place in the universe. You're great.
Indeed. Bring it home.
We are.
Bring it home.
In Jesus' name.
We pray. Amen. All right, guys. I'll see you next week. I'll see you Thursday. Thursday at 6 p.m. It's All Saints Day. Okay? That's a good one. Let's come in and remember those. For us.
Craziest.